I'm Jay Hamilton with Jonathan Williams, the Vice President and Chief Economist of the American Legislative Exchange Council. We're here at the annual meeting in Austin, Texas, back on tax day, and every year on tax day you release sort of the preeminent study on how states rank in their taxes and their economy. Rich states, poor states, just came out with the 12th edition. What are some of the highlights?
Well, once again, Utah is number one in Rich States, Poor States for the 12th year in a row. All 12 editions of Rich States, Poor States, Jay, Utah's kept the number one economic outlook ranking. And everyone always asks me, what is the secret? How can they stay at the top for so many years? And Utah does so many things right. We almost don't have enough time to talk about all of them, but one of them is property taxes, something that almost every state legislator here in Austin, when I ask people to raise their hand, who's heard complaints or concerns from constituents about property taxes, every hand goes up because it's something that voters care about, something that everybody cares about. And Utah has found a way to really limit the growth of property taxes in a very impressive way by not overly restricting local governments, but by saying if you're going to raise property taxes, either on assessments or the rates, you got to go and take a recorded vote. People have to be accountable for those decisions, because so many times in states, they will tell you, we just cut your property tax rate, and then the assessment goes up by so much, and nobody votes on the assessments in many cases, and allowing them to keep the assessments, that people's property tax bill went up after they were told their property tax rate was cut. How can that happen, right? And so Utah's found a way to get around that through their truth in taxation law, which actually we're considering for model policy. So we're very interested in becoming ALEC model policy. That's been something that's kept Utah at the forefront for 12 years. New York, on the other side of the spectrum, 50th out of 50. In Rich States, Poor States, for almost every edition of Rich States, Poor States have been 50th. And of course, they have a toxic combination of just high taxes, high spending, and special favorites. They give special deals to one company over another or one industry over another in a way to try to keep businesses or attract businesses there. But that approach just doesn't work of chasing smokestacks versus having low taxes across the board for everybody.
Did you figure in pensions in this as well? Because so many states are really in dire straits with it.
Yeah, so we look at state debt as part of Rich States, Poor States, but the pension issue is just, I think it's the existential financial issue facing states today. And let's think about it. I think it would keep me up at night if I were a state lawmaker to say we are at maybe not the end, but probably close to the end of the economic boom when it comes to equities. At least we're in the autumn maybe of this boom. And state pension funds are so underfunded now, and we're at 10-year run-up in equity prices right now in the marketplace. If we have a correction anytime soon, what it looks like right now, our estimate shows $6 trillion with a T in unfunded pension obligations alone in the states. And if we have a market crash, that number goes up hugely, and it's a huge issue. I mean, we're not going to be able to have enough money at the state level to fund core government priorities or to cut taxes if we don't tackle the pension crisis.
So one of the things I picked up on earlier, so when you're studying these states, you're using obviously the states as a laboratory.
Yes.
And so you see Utah and its truth in taxation. That's something that may be applicable, that every state should take a look at Utah and try to apply it in their situation.
I think so. And even this session, Iowa and here in Texas, they both considered property tax transparency measures like that and passed them into law. So we're already seeing momentum for it. I think having it as ALEC model policy will only help state lawmakers say this has worked well for Utah. Everyone wonders, why has Utah been number one in Rich States, Poor States for all these years? So they did pension reform, they did truth in taxation for property taxes, and people want to emulate number one. And I think it's going to be a very powerful way that states can get to be more like Utah.
Oh, that's great. Where can people go to find out more information?
Well, ALEC.org and richstatespoorstates.org are the two places to find all 12 editions of the book.
Good. Well, listen, great catching up. Have a great time at the annual meeting. I know this is a wonderful time for you to also get back in touch with what is going on in the States.
Absolutely.
And what is bubbling up. All right. Thank you, Jonathan.